is in the Alachua County jail tonight after smuggling undocumented immigrants from Oklahoma to Ocala. TV 20's Ethan Badowski tells us how they came up just short of their destination.
Carlos Velasco Mancillo is driving a Chevy Suburban with 10 undocumented immigrants inside down I-75 in Alachua County. But just before Ocala, he ran into unexpected trouble. The Suburban was heading from Oklahoma to Ocala south on I-75 when it was pulled over because its windows were tinted too dark. When the trooper went to question Velasco Mancillo, he noticed 10 passengers in the car, including 3 in the back. Troopers say they believe Velasco Mancillo has ties in Mexico, and he's part of a group that moves undocumented immigrants throughout the U.S. FHP says they deal with multiple cases of human smuggling each week.
I don't have the specifics on that, but I certainly think that there's trends that show that there's people that are in this business.
Last May, we reported on a similar story when a man was found with 2 Mexican immigrants in his car. One traveler I spoke with says she is concerned about a larger trend of human trafficking in this country.
We get enough Amber Alerts that children are being picked up and smuggled and taken away, and the heartbreaks of the parents has got to be awful. It's just awful.
Some of the passengers paid Velasco Mancillo to take them from Oklahoma to Ocala. Velasco Mancillo knew all of them were in the country illegally. The arresting trooper requested a high bond due to the likelihood of him fleeing the country. His bond was set at $102,000. In Alachua County, Ethan Badowski, TV 20 News.